Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Frozen Fortunes, the analysis days. And this will be the final analysis video because with next season being the last season, there's not really a lot to analyze because I usually do this as a means of preparing stuff for the new season. Now, a couple of things you might notice, of course, from this is obviously we got the 100 goals, or 101 in fact, and 19 goals conceded, which is by far the best defense in the history of this league and the best attack by far. 82 goal difference is crazy. Bank balance is looking pretty healthy. Unfortunately, for some reason, the board have lowered the amount of transfer revenue to 62%, despite us having a budget of 21 million and being 50. We've made £33 million profit this year. You might notice we've got some fixtures coming up. We were invited to do a friendly cup by Blackburn Rovers, so that's going to be interesting, I suppose. Vasic has got himself a new contract, so that is all dandy. Right, so first things first, we're going to go and do the old looking through each of the players, and then we'll go and do the stats, and then take a quick look at everything else. It should be a fairly long video, I would have thought. So again, as usual, excuse the occasional slurping noises. This is basically a podcast with visual stimuli at this point. So let's jump on into that. How do we do this? Right, let's go to squad. Hopefully I have made sure Victor Christensen will appear in it this time because I do want to take a look at him. So we're on to the contract screen at the moment. Let's just see what the values are looking like. Svenningson's still the most valuable, but it's very close between him and Cunha. Jankowski's up there too. Rally's had one hell of a season, and as a result has gone from being worth about 3 million at the start of the year up to 16.5 million, which makes total sense really when you look at how good he's been. Anyway, let's take a look at how good they've been this year, starting with old Jonas Svenningsson, although we don't really want to spend too much time on him because we did of course show you him in yesterday's video. Those torn knee ligaments really have been a huge problem this year. 27 goals in 24 starts, 13 goals in 14 in the league, and 11 goals in 8 starts in the Champions League, with bloody 4 assists in there, penalties, 4 player of the match, dribbling. He's just been phenomenal this year, and if he can carry on that for one more year, now you can see that his potential is capped out, which is why I never thought that he was going to be like a world-class wonder kid, and the game has never said that he was. I think if I had to guess, I'd say that Svenningson's PA probably isn't as high as you might think. I think it's just that because he was able to start playing from such a young age, he started with a high enough one, he was able to be thrown in, and as a result, was able to get that first team football to develop probably to about the maximum that he could have possibly ever been. Not to say that he's a bad player, but I feel like I honestly believe that someone like Matthias Olsson probably has a higher potential than him because he's still listed as a 5-star player in this team, which is saying something. And there's quite a few players that I think can go on to be much, much better in the grand scheme of things. But he'll always be my favourite player because he's come through our youth academy, even though Olsson did too. And he scored 11 goals for Denmark as well. 106 goals for us in 179 games. What a player Svenningsson is. I have a feeling he might be a shoe-in to be the manager in rebuilding Stockport. Just a theory, but again, I need to make a video on that soon, which I will do later in the week. So, moving on to Momcilo Vasic. He's still not quite reached his potential level yet, but I think he'll definitely be staying. He's just signed a new deal, which means we don't have any worries about losing him in the summer. I think he is more than welcome to stay in this team. 3.5 stars, a little bit more room to grow as well, but that's 17 heading, good marking, decent tackling, fantastic physical stats, and he's only going to get better in the mental stats as well. So I think he's definitely a shoe-in to be starting for us next season. He's had a fantastic year. Goal in the cup, in the league, and in the Champions League as well. Average ratings, brilliant. Tackles one, still a little bit low, but we'll come on to that when we do a little bit of a deeper analysis. Daniel Vlaslovsky, of course, is on loan at Brest at the moment. He's been out on loan a lot. He's done Vela, Hammarby. He's done a lot of loans. He did really well at Vela. He's a solid player, quite frankly, but I don't think he's ever going to be good enough to play for us. He does have a cap, or 2 caps, in fact, for Australia, and he will be going to the World Cup with them as well. So that's nice to see for him. And Manuel Amoa, I believe he's out of contract this summer. In fact, yeah, he's joining Bursaspor. I did try to sell him in January, but no one was after him, which is surprising, actually. But I guess they were probably just happy to wait. But he is going to be leaving the club after, well, he played 60 games for us and conceded 39 goals. So did decent enough, the 27-year-old Ghanaian. And considering he cost us nothing, we didn't need to make any money on this deal, frankly. Aldo Barbello. He's a player that might not have the best potential-looking stats, but I really, really like old Barbello. 36 games for us, and he's actually scored 4 times for us in the league. I think it's in the league, it must be, yeah. Which is outrageous. Good heading, good marking, good tackling. 6'5", decent enough physical stats. He just does a good job when he's in the team. In the Champions League, when he started twice, he's looked a little bit out of his depth, wins a lot of tackles, but in the league, he is an absolute rock at the back for us, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Never going to be good enough to play for Italy, but that's fine. He's worth £10 million, and we certainly didn't pay that for him. I think we paid 2.5. Yeah, 2.5. So not to worry on that one. Yeah, I've got it set to it. Here we go. Milinko Bozovic is a youngster who's played no games for us this year at all, but featured in the Europa Youth League. A lot more to come from him, but he's sort of, he's way down the pecking order behind the likes of Cunha and Olsen and such. So he's not really going to be in the team anytime soon. Mariano Bravo, the man, the myth, the legend. 211 games for us now and 149 goals. Remember that number, 211, because when we come to Aldo Saifi, I want to see if he's played more games for us. 17 finishing is phenomenal. To have 149 goals for us in the league is phenomenal. Next year, I'm sure he'll manage to get his 150th. And frankly, this year he's been superb. 14 starts in the league, 15 goals. He's still been banging them away despite sort of losing a little bit of his not flexibility, he's a little bit of his efficiency. Great physical stats. He's still got the key areas. His passing is still a little bit poor for where he is, but he's got that professional personality. I've always been a fan of Mariano Bravo. I mean, I don't know how many years he's been with us. Is it 8 now? Good Lord. Look how many seasons Bravo's done with us. His first year was in the lower division as well. So I think that is, that is 8 full seasons Mariano Bravo has had with B67 and just scored a hatload of goals. He had 3 successive seasons of getting over 20 goals in the league. And last year he had a bloody good season too, with 17. This year was pretty much in there as well. The assists were for days as well. Player of the Match awards. He's certainly passed his best as far as what we can get out of him, but I don't think I want to sell him or move him on at all because it's Bravo. And, they'd have to offer moon money, and I just really don't think it's worth it. I think the sentimentality, unless it was to facilitate a big transfer that I knew would improve us, then I don't think he'll be leaving. Bruno Dip. The only real player I think that remains in this squad. He's played 7 games for us. He's been all right, actually. I think he's played better overall than Palacios, and he does actually play for us, but he's on absolutely ridiculous money. So we might, if we can find a better player, I might better try and ship Dip off and get rid of that 38 grand a week, because that is just absurd money when you consider that our best players aren't even on that. Right, Victor Christensen. See, he's got the potential. He's improving. He's got some really good stats in a lot of areas, but this year he's been really poor. 10 Champions League appearances, 1 assist and a 6.72 overall. In the league, 21 starts, just 4 assists and a 6.93. No goals and only 5 assists in 34 appearances. Now, he is only 18 still, but you have to be doing better than this, Victor. I don't understand what's going wrong with him. Positioning is a little bit on the poor side. He's heading long shots and marking, long throws rather, and marking are a bit on the poor. Anyone got any idea? Maybe his aggression's a little bit too low as to why he's just not performed this year. Like, Akinol has been good in this position. We've had players do very, very well in this position, and you think with the players we've got around him, he would have improved. But I think this year he's actually had a worse season overall than last year. Yeah, look at that. 15 games last year, he got 3 goals and 2 assists, 2 Player of the Match awards as well. It still wasn't fantastic, but this year it's a massive drop-off. No goals whatsoever in more games. A few more assists, but it does worry me a little bit about old Victor Christensen, about what might be his path in the future. Andre Cunha. Honestly, I believe he is one of the best players at this football club currently. What a season he's had. 4 assists in the Champions League, 9 in the league, 2 in the Cup, and 15 overall. He's just been fantastic. 78 appearances for us, and he doesn't even have the best crossing stats. He does have a Portuguese cap too, and rightly so. He's worth £20 million, basically. Who's he wanted by? I assume it's someone like Sunderland, Bordeaux, Bayern Munich, and Barcelona. It's a weird bunch, I've got to say, but hopefully Andre Cunha will stay with us this summer. He's got 4 years on his contract, so I see no reason why not. He's going to be absolutely vital in any success we have next season. He is an absolutely phenomenal footballer, and hopefully he'll finish off, well, not finish off his career here, almost certainly the moment we leave the club, he'll be off. For 750k though, that's how much we paid. You can't really go wrong with that. Mahmoud Hal Ash, who has only ever played 2 games for us, has spent most of his time out on loan at Dijon and Metz over in France. He's not had the best of times over there, to be honest. He's never been quite good enough. He's decent, but he's never been quite good enough to get in the team. Maybe we should bring him back, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe we can deploy him on the left-hand side. Not really his position, though, and I think the wrong foot. He'd have to be inverted. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. Fagner, my old mucker. He's on loan at Real Murcia and has spent a lot of time out on loan. He threatened to be fantastic when he first came in. And then it just didn't work out for him, really. Went out on loan to Roma Poikana over in Sweden. He's went out to Oddvitaberg, and he's gone over to Real Murcia. But his goals have just been drying up, basically. He did all right at Roma Poikana, but not enough, really. And yeah, his contract's up next summer, and he'll probably leave then too. Milian Harmat, our goalkeeper, our pièce de résistance in goal. I'm glad we've got a solid keeper between the sticks now. I think he's a thoroughly good keeper. 22 appearances for us, and has only conceded 10 goals, less than 1 a game. He's got 20 determination. I think I might have already pointed that out, unless that's gone up. But yeah, obviously he's wanted, I believe, by Chelsea. I think it's Chelsea that want him. Yeah, it is. One cap for Serbia. I do believe he's going to the World Cup as well, and he bloody deserves it. As long as we can hold on to a good goalkeeper too, particularly with Amoa leaving, I don't really want to have to dip too deep on that one. Vladimir Herzeg, we already kind of showed you him and talked about him. He's had a very, very good season. He's a star player in this league. 19 goals in 25 appearances is absolutely phenomenal. And if he can carry that on next year, the league will be in safe hands. He's worth £11 million now. That is mental. Wanted by Palace, Leicester, and Borussia Mönchengladbach. Mönchengladbach. Sorry, I don't know why my throat did that. Mark Yakim. It's such a shame. This year, he's just fallen down the pecking order, considering how good he's actually been for us in the past couple of seasons. His league performances have been phenomenal. 13 goals, 18 goals, 19 goals. He had a phenomenal year last year. This year, 2 games, 2 goals. Fantastic. And a Player of the Match award. But he just wasn't ever quite far enough up the pecking order. And maybe if someone comes in with a bid, I might be tempted to let Yakim go, because I just don't think he's going to get much game time here, and he might be one to move on, particularly with someone like Pavek coming back from loan, who could probably fill those boots. If we can get some money for him, could always reinvest that. Mariusz Jankowski, who is sort of tied with Zdeněk Krejci now for the best player in that position, and I might be tempted to move Krejci over to the first string, but it depends if I push him further forward. We could have both of them in the team, which means we've got some passing machines, quite frankly. He's a great player, really. 70 appearances, only 4 goals, but I think he's more about the assists. Let's just take a little look at that. In the league, he's actually, I tell you what, right, it's hard to figure out what exactly he really does other than just play well. Like, he always puts in good performances, but only 1 goal and 2 assists this year, but he still puts in really solid performances. I assume what he does is he just keeps that ball ticking over, keeps that passing nice. This year, his average pass completion is 85%, which is solid. Could potentially be a bit higher. We'll have to see how he matches up to someone like Krejci. There's also the sort of forgotten man of the club, Wojciech Jalashinsky, who's on loan at Spal at the moment and has actually played 18 games for them and scored 3 times, got 2 assists, and has actually been really, really decent out on loan. So that gives me some hope, but I do feel like he's the sort of player that, again, I might try and quickly ship off to have one last go at it next year while we can, basically, if we find the money, because I don't think he's going to get in the team just yet. And if we can improve, particularly with Trevino coming in, definitely, and hopefully Ricardo from Palmeiras as well. So we'll see. Jose Angel, the goalkeeper that's been with us in the league. 12 games. He's only conceded 7 goals in the league. He's doing a bloody good job and has improved quite nicely. He's worth £4.4 million as well now. I wonder if our reputation will go up again this year due to the fact that we did so well in the Champions League. And maybe our players will be worth even more once it sort of flips over into the new season. I guess we'll have to revisit this at the start and see whether that's actually happened. Zdeněk Krejci, my man. Look at those mental stats for a 19-year-old. I cannot get over just how good he is in those areas. He's 18 passing. Vision is phenomenal. He's an ambitious... He is actually listed as a wonder kid, and I can see why, although his potential has dipped back down below 5 stars again, which is a bit perturbing, but he's been fantastic this year when he's played in the league. 4 goals, 4 assists. I mean, that says a lot to me about when he plays. He does actually contribute a lot more than Jalashinsky, and his passing is 89%. I think he kind of has to play. Just looking at this, he's just better. But we'll compare them properly in a minute. Juan Lopez is a goalkeeper that I don't believe has featured at all this year because he's been out on loan at Rayo Vallecano. So really, less said about him, the better. Your Lucio, who's played a decent amount of time in the league this season, the young Portuguese centre-back, worth £1.5 million now. He's been decent enough. He scored 2 goals in his 10 appearances from full centre-back, which is pretty damn solid. He's a very integral part of that sort of second string with Barbello and Saifi, and he's doing a decent job, and I think he'll only improve going into next season, and he's had, you know, a full season of football. Well, not a full season. I think we had to move some stuff around due to injuries and whatnot to Lucio, I believe, actually. I'm not entirely sure about that one, but he definitely dropped out. Magia, he's immediately gone, of course, out on loan, but he'll be back next year as well to give us some extra depth as well. So you can't really fault that. We've got a lot of depth on the right-hand side of the wing-back role. It's just the left-hand side that's been a bit of a problem for us. Matthias Olsen, a player who really is one of the best players at the club. And the only reason that he's not featuring more is because he's got probably one of the best players at the club in front of him. But thankfully, we've been able to keep both of them happy, which is nice. He is still wanted by Barcelona, to give you an idea of just how good this guy seems to be. And as much as people, and I myself, bang on about Jonas Svenningsson being fantastic, I genuinely think that the best player to have come through our youth academy during this save is actually Matthias Olsen. Overall, I think he's probably got a higher PA, and he's listed as a wonder kid here too. So I genuinely think he is probably the better one. And that would make sense, because I think when Svenningsson came through, the facilities were worse. And I don't think we'd maxed out the recruitment and junior coaching yet, whereas I think by the time Olsen and Maurizio came through, which was the same year, I think we had got those maxed out, which makes a lot of sense as to how we were able to produce him. But I think, again, like people said, our youth academy not having the best facilities overall means these players aren't quite going to be able to reach that potential. I am improving it every single season, but it would still take us probably another 5 or 6 years of me improving it every year to get anywhere near good enough. Marian Pacinda, who's been out on loan this year at Braunschweig, I assume he's been played a lot deeper there. That's the only thing I can think of. Scored 2 goals for them this season. He's a decent player, frankly. But I don't think he'll probably feature for us much that year, although he is a potential star player for the league. Where does he sort of fit in to this? Where is he actually? Pacinda. He's nice. He's below most of the midfielders at the club, and if we bring in more, that's only going to make it worse for him. Carlos Palacios. In the league, he's actually been decent. 3 goals and 2 assists this season, but that's really poor. When you look at his assists, that's the main issue for me, assists-wise. He's only got 3 assists in all competitions in 26 starts, whereas Andre Cunha has got bloody 15. And I'm pretty sure that Satar last year got into the double figures with assists, and that's the issue. Palacios just has not contributed enough, particularly in the Champions League, where he's been very, very poor. And that's the main thing for me. He's just not been good enough in that position. I definitely won't be trying to make his loan permanent because he's just not been good enough, unfortunately. I'll be interested to see. Dip didn't have much of an impact either, and I think that's an area where next year there's definitely room to improve. Now, of course, it might be skewed slightly in that Rally has been on the left-hand side. So Palacios' crosses have been aimed at Svenningsson instead. Most of the time, anyway, they head to the far post. Whereas Cunha has been able to pick out Rally. But even so, when it was Bravo and Svenningsson up top, Satar was able to just get figures for days, basically. And here is the man. Here is Rally. Worth a lot. Wanted by probably Chelsea again or someone like that. No, Leicester, Borussia Mönchengladbach and Real Sociedad. They're weirdly not the biggest sides, considering how good of a season he's had. When you think about it, 35 games from the start, 39 goals. He didn't quite manage to catch Ersan. It's amazing that Ersan actually got 42 goals for us in a season. When you consider how much better we've been with him not here, and yet we've not even come close. Well, this is the closest we've come. 31 in the league and 12 assists is phenomenal. 5 in the Champions League with 3 assists is not bad either. 3 in the Cup too. Potential. You can see a little cap on it though. So hopefully he can do well next year and really start to find some form. 4 caps, 2 goals for the Dutch national team. We're playing the World Cup this summer. I think he's got some real potential. 6'6". Was he always 6'6"? I swear he was 6'5". I don't know. Long contract though. He will be our starting striker up top with Svenningsson next year. No doubt about it. They form a really, really good partnership. And when they're both in the team, we look like a proper contender for European trophies. But without Svenningsson against Paris Saint-Germain, like someone pointed out in the comments, there were balls going into the channel that Svenningsson would normally be right behind and chasing. But Bravo and Herzeg just don't have that level of athleticism to get into those channels, basically. And they just weren't good enough. And that was the main problem, I think. They play so well together. And if we can keep them fit next year, that's where our chances are going to come from. Nuno Santos. Wow. Probably our star centre-back, really. Although, actually, I think that's probably more likely to be Simovic. 44 games he's played for us. No goals, but he just does everything so damn well. He's an absolute rock at the back. He's got 4 caps for Portugal. Who is he wanted by? Monaco, Schalke, Real Madrid. Not Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. And, of course, Real Sociedad. So we'll try to hang on to him as well. I hope. I mean, it should just come down to either atmosphere, tight-knit social group, and apparently there's another one you can try, but you really only get one shot at it. So I generally go for the atmosphere one. Or if I think that they're perhaps not that type of player, judging by the personalities, I sometimes do the tight-knit social group one, if they're a member of one, which is quite important here. You'll notice that if you've got that listed, often you can get away with doing the tight-knit part of a social group, and they'll almost always agree with you. Here we go, Aldo Saifi. Now, no, he's actually only got 160 appearances for us. I don't know where I got the idea that he was rivaling Mariano Bravo for that. He's not even close. Bravo is quite clearly going to finish this save as our most appearance-makered player, so to speak. Saifi, what a man. He's only got 8 heading, and yet he just does absolute bits for us. 10 appearances in the league this year, a solid performance. His tackles-1 ratio was a bit poor, but he's still been decent, quite frankly. I just can't fault him. He just is such a good player for us. Still only a 2-star player now these days, but he's still worth £10 million because he's 26 years old. I think he's one of our longest-serving players as well. I think he and Bravo are both been at the club for 8 years, having joined us, while we were in the second tier. And he's had a few poorer seasons when we came up, but he's actually still got better and better. Last year was genuinely his best ever season for the club. So I don't know. He's one of those players that I definitely don't want to sell, despite the value that we could potentially get for him. Again, unless there's some amazing deal that I can find that requires moon money. And then I would potentially sell a few of these guys off just to sort of, I'd thin the herd a little bit in order to bring in some absolute star quality. So if I find a player and I think, you know what, that's going to cost us £40 million, but if they're willing to join it and I can get the money, I will go after it because it's the final season of the save. Dragan Simovic, easily one of the best footballers at the club right now, and 27 caps for Serbia, and he's only 23 years old. What a player he is. Great physicals, decent mental stats, apart from his flair and off the ball, but who cares? He is a centre-back after all. Heading, marking, tackling, phenomenal, 6'2". He's an absolute star player for us, and long may it continue. He is wanted as well, unfortunately, presumably by Chelsea, Monaco, Leverkusen, the usual bunch. Shell Arneskreda, well, I mean, I don't think he's made a single appearance for it. Oh, no, he has. No, he hasn't. Okay, mostly been out on loan. Probably the same thing will happen again. Peter Sorgor, like a player that's kind of sort of found his form, kind of settled into having just a good season after season. 21 years old, 4 caps for Denmark. He looked like he could be an absolute world beater, but I think out of the 3, Olsen, Svenningsson, and Sorgor is probably the weakest of the 3, but it really hasn't affected him that much. He's going to get his 100th appearance for us next season. He's just good, I think, for the position that he plays in, really. Just looking at the way his career's improved, he's got better and better season upon season, really. Apart from that little blip in 28 season where he got 1 goal and 2 assists, but he followed that up the next year with the same, but better. But this year, you know, 2 goals in the league, 4 assists, but just a really good performance overall. Look at that, 7.35 performance. He's very, very good. His passing has improved dramatically, and I think that might be part of the reason why. Nope, tell a lie, he's actually passing that well. I don't know, but he's having a good time, and that's all that matters. If he's putting into the performances, and we're winning with him in the team, that's all I care about. Marko Sinic has been out on loan at FC Copenhagen. Livius Stan, he's sort of gone under the radar this year. A goal he has got, but 3 assists in 12 matches isn't even that bad. He's done well when he's been in the team, but he has picked up, obviously, the fractured lower leg, which means he'll probably miss the start of next season as well. Another reason why I'm glad that we're bringing in Oscar Trevino and hopefully Ricardo as well. Stan's one of those players. We've had bids for him, but they've never been that good, and Nets are the only team that really want him, and I think I'm quite happy to keep him around. He's a solid player. He's got a cap for Romania as well. I realise I'm taking more time over this than I usually would do. It's because we're going to maybe take a little bit less time over the analysis bit. I'm really kind of keen to go through this stuff in a bit more detail. And now, actually, I tell a lie, we're right back to Jonas Svenningsson, back to where we were at the start. So that's the way things are looking up. I've managed to sort of suss out a few little things there. Right, I'm just going to take a couple of swigs of my drink while I slowly move us over to the stats page. Okay, we've actually fallen down on the average possession this year, which is bizarre. We were nearly going to get it, but this year we've fallen away a little bit, which is a shame. Penalties taken, we've got 8 penalties this year, and we've not scored enough of them, to be perfectly honest. I think I'm blaming Svenningsson for that. Headers won, nearly. Oh, we were 6 headers away. It was so close to us beating Lyngby to that one. To be fair, they did play less matches too, so there's that. Most headers won as a ratio, though. 5% more than anybody else in the league. That's what I like to see. Centre-backs doing work, and also Rally. I think Rally's influence is certainly quite obvious there. Yellow cards. Oh, look at this. 26 yellow cards. Remember at a point where we were just foul, we were a foully men, and now we're right down there. I really want to have a good disciplinary season. And, well, Hobro, my God. They must be averaging 3 or 4 a game. Well, no, 2 a game, basically. Still pretty damn bad, though. Red cards. We have had, we had Momchilo Vasic getting one recently. Lyngby are a dirty bunch. 6 red cards this season. That's not great, is it, really, when you think about it? Attacking. Goals scored. 101 goals scored this year. We've scored 38 more goals than Brøndby this year. Vela only managed 32. Copenhagen still not brilliant. They're joint 8th on goals scored, and that I really do think is their problem. You know, Brøndby outscored them by 10 goals, and I think that's why Brøndby got themselves in the Champions League this year. Copenhagen will no doubt have one of the best defences, but they just don't score enough. Cross completion. 17% is nice. I want to see who that's from, though, kind of quite importantly. Crosses completed, 346 crosses completed. That must have jumped up massively due to the fact that Rally's in there. It has to be. Goals from corners. We've got 9 goals from corners this year. Exploiting the corners has been something that we've actually got away with this year, which is nice. Goals from direct free kicks, 1. Oh no, direct free kicks. I genuinely can't remember when that goal was. Goals from indirect free kicks. We've got 6 of those too. Set pieces this year. That's not too bad, actually. That's what? 16 goals have been scored from set pieces. Wait, no, penalties as well. So that's like nearly 20 goals from set pieces. Pass completion. We've actually, oh my God, tied at 80% with those two. I thought we were actually going to do it this year. And I think next year, if we have both Krejci and Jankowski in the team, we'll almost certainly do it just because of that. Weirdly, Copenhagen have completed a lot more passes than us. We've actually given the ball up a bit more this year. Less possession. strange that. I don't know why that is. It might just be because of the slightly different players around. I think we wanted to break the 200 chances created this season, and we did with 204. Nice to see Esbjerg, despite being in a real problem, have created a lot of chances this year. If they just had a guy that could put those in, I mean, seriously, if they had someone like a Frano Budimir or who was that other guy, Miranda, in their team, they would be rocking and not in a relegation playoff right now. Copenhagen, again, sliding down. This is my point. They're just not quite there. Esbjerg, they're hitting enough of their shots on target as well. It really does surprise me that they've been as bad this year. Created a lot of chances, got the shots on target. I think they're just a bit unfortunate. I assume they're going to be second on this one too. No, they're not quite, but we've had nearly 300 shots on target this year. But again, Esbjerg right up there again with more than 200. It does surprise me that they've done as badly as they have. Fouls against, not too many, basically. Dribbles per game, of course, were right in there. Again, Midtjylland always win this because of Christoffersen and Simon Poulsen and Pat Moore. Those guys just, seriously, like I said, they dribbles like me after an anaesthetic. They really are crazy good. Conceded. Copenhagen, yeah. That being said, 38 goals conceded is a lot worse than last year. And more than twice, in fact, I think it's exactly twice the amount of goals that we've conceded this year. 19 goals conceded in 36 matches is nearly one every other game. I can't really complain about that. Goals from corners, 4. Indirect, that's only 5. That's Bromby have done bloody brilliantly there. We're still going to have done better here, though. 4 goals from corners, none from direct free kicks, which is good. And indirect free kicks, 1, which is the best. So that's only 5 goals from set pieces. I don't know about the penalties. Clean sheets, with 21 clean sheets this year. Still not going to get the Golden Glove for either Harmer or, what's his name? Lopez. I think it's Lopez. I can't remember. Actually, no. Jose? Angel, that's the guy. Jose Angel, because obviously they've alternated in the roles. Fouls made, nice towards the bottom. We don't need to win. We don't need to foul. We've got good tackles. Tackles, wow, look at that. How low we are. I suppose it's because we've got the ball a lot of the time. Tackles 1 ratio is not great at all. That's really low. That feels lower than it was last year. I don't know. Penalties conceded, 3. Yeah, so not great. Average attendances. We're into 10th now with an average attendance of 7,400. We could climb again next year. We're getting to this sort of area. For the Copenhagen game where we won 4-0, we had nearly a full house of 10,000 people. I think it was 9,500. Well, you'll be able to see actually when we come to this. Average attendance by capacity. Ours is now, we're into 6th place with 74%. That's bloody good. Sellouts, none for us just yet, but our highest attendance this year was 9,500, which is much, much more like it. And I think next year, again, we should hopefully be averaging more attendances towards the 8,000 and 9,000s again. I just want one sellout in the league in this save. Lowest attendances, again, yeah, it's not great, 5,100, but it's certainly better than it was in the past. Net transfer spend, yeah, I think we're the only club considered to be rich at the moment, which is a bit of a shame. It'd be nice if some of these guys could pick up the pace a little bit. We've actually made £38 million of transfer profit, I believe. Or does that mean we've spent it? I don't really know. Looking at the salaries, we should, amazingly, we are still... Oh no, we've spent 38 million. Okay. Incredibly, we're still not the highest spending team in this league. But I think by next year, we will overtake FC Copenhagen. For the final season of this save, we'll probably be spending around about 18 million per annum on salaries, if I had to be guessing on something. Anyway, moving over to players while I have another sip of my drink. So appearances, kind of irrelevant. Yellow cards, we should probably have a couple on here, I would have thought. Yes, Matthias Olsen, interestingly, picked up 6 yellow cards despite only playing 16 times. So, yeah, a bit foully old Matthias there. No one else on that one too. Red cards, we only got 1, which was Vasic. Player of the Match Awards. Why is this taking so long to switch over to things? Here we go. Player of the Match Awards. Nope. Right. Rally. 11 Player of the Match Awards is bloody excellent. It really is. Herze got 4. Bravo got 4. Sveni got 3. Cunha got 3. The amount of players we've got on this list is outrageous. But to get 11 Player of the Match Awards in one season is phenomenal. Distance covered per 90 minutes. Matthias Olsen. It's just crazy just how much he and Cunha run. Also, notice the peculiar absence of someone like Carlos Palacios, who, by that calculation, has therefore run an average of more than 2 kilometers less per game than the players on the right-hand side in Olsen and Cunha. Krejci really does get about a bit when he plays. He covers a lot more ground than Zdenek than Jankowski when he does play, which is, again, another strong point in the idea of maybe playing Krejci from the start next year, either in Jankowski's position or putting him as the attacking playmaker and giving him a chance to get some goals and assists from there. I'm certainly thinking about it. Average rating, we should have tons of players on. Look at this. 6 of the top 7. Rally in there. Cunha, Herzeg, Bravo, Simovic, Surgod, Olsen, Jankowski. Anyone else? Svenningsson, I don't think, played enough games in total. No, he didn't. Headers 1. Come on, have somebody on there. I don't think we have, though. No, Rally. Of course it's Rally. No defenders in sight, but Rally has won 200 headers this year. Top goal scorer this season, of course, who other than Rally? 31 goals in 34 appearances and only 21 starts. What an absolutely phenomenal record he's got. Second place, though, goes to Vladimir Herzeg with 19 goals in the league in only 21 starts. Bravo's got 15 in there. Svenningson's got 13, and that is going to do it for that. Minutes per goal. He is on another level. A goal every 70 minutes. Herzeg in there too with basically a goal every 90 minutes. Bravo in there as well. And of course, Svenningson didn't play enough for that. Shots. He has 167 shots this year. He was getting into great positions with 167 shots. Shots on target as well. 93 shots on target. No wonder he scored so many bloody goals. He was just getting into positions, finding them. He scores basically every 3 shots on target, Rally scores a goal, which is pretty damn good, I think. Shots on target percentage. Bravo at 61%. The guy can hit him on target. If Rally could get up to that level, that would easily be worth another 3 or 4 goals, I think, which is crazy. But he's still in there with 55, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Herzeg, again, God, imagine if he was at sort of Mariano Bravo's level. I dread to think. Team goals. Krejci has been on the pitch for 96 of our 101 goals in the league. Rally was on the pitch for 93 of them, which is amazing. I think that just shows you just how many goals we score when Rally's on the team and how many we don't score when he's not. I would be very interested to see what those stats look like when we do the comparisons. Penalties, yeah, we're probably going to struggle here. Svenningson scored 3 of his 5. Herzeg scored all of his, and Bravo scored all of his 1. Assists, Rally with 12, Herzeg with 10, Cooney with 9, Olsen with 9. That's interesting. Olsen's played less games and, well, he has a lot of substitute appearances, to be fair. We'll take a look at that. Svenningson, of course, with 8. That's a lot of players on the assist chart, my lord. Key passes, come on. Cooney with 54, Olsen with 44. Olsen's had a bloody good year as well. Chances created, Cooney with 34, Rally with 24, Olsen in there too. Svenningson, no Bravo or anyone like that. Herzeg also not noticeably on here too. Pass completion, wow, look at that. Milan Harmat with a 94% pass completion. I know he's our goalkeeper, but that's crazy. Krejci on there with 88%, Bravo 86, Jankowski 85. So again, Krejci's just got a lot of things that Jankowski doesn't. So that's quite important to note as well. Surgor doing a good job on there too. Cross completion ratio, 40%. I don't know how many crosses he's actually put in there. We'll have to take a look at that. I think it's quite important to actually just see how many crosses he has put. Oh, you can't see, can you? That's annoying. Oh, total crosses. 18 out of 39 is actually bloody great. A lot of those might have been from set pieces, but even so, that is fantastic. What I'm more interested in, though, is are any of our fullbacks on there? No, they're not. But they do put in a lot more crosses, so I guess it's going to have been watered down a little bit by that sort of stuff. Dribbles per game. Obviously, Poulsen's in there too. Patmore's up there as well. Where in... oh, he hasn't played enough games. So where would Svenningson have settled? So let's just get Svenny up. Not Sven Bender, Svenningson. In the league this year, average of 4.87. So that would have put him round about here. So actually, a few players are in head. But I guess it's because these guys are wingers. So their dribbling ability is generally higher. And he certainly would have been the best dribbler on our team, that's for sure. Offside's kind of irrelevant. Although Svenningson, wow, he's offside a lot. Team conceded. Surgård has only been on the pitch for 10 goals conceded this year. And he's made 22 starts. Tell you what, him in the team, it really does seem to have... Maybe he's just a really good defensive player. Has he got good defensive stats? I mean, his tackles-won ratios aren't amazing, but he does seem to do something for us in that percent. Maybe it's just because he gets about so much. He hassles teams off the ball. Tackles per game. Anyone at all? Andre Cunha. Of course it's Andre Cunha. Olsen just in behind. You see what I mean? Olsen has been phenomenal, but Cunha is just that little bit better. Mistakes leading to a goal. I'd like to think we don't have any on here. No, we don't. That's good to see. Although Carlos Cifuentes does play for us. Christian Leiva, lol, Niang. Lots of players that used to play for us in here as well. Mistakes. Eamon Zion. I can see why they have these troubles now. None on here for us at all. Key tackles. Massimiliano Rocco. What a season he's had for Lyngby in terms of key tackles. None of our players on there at all. Key headers. 104 key headers for Rally. That means every other header he makes is a key header. And still, he's only won 56% of his headers. How? Mate, come on. You are 6'1". We've got an actual giraffe up front, and he still doesn't seem to win enough headers for my liking. That baffles me. I think it's an improvement over last season, I think. But it definitely does need to improve more. It really, really does. Let's see. Interceptions made. Anyone? No. Headers won ratio. Well, Vasic, 86. Nice. Barbello, 84. Good stuff. Simovic, 83. Nice. Shots blocked. Barbello, I tell you what, this is what I mean. This is why I love Aldo Barbello. He does his job. Conceded 3 players. Is that what? Oh, it's the goalkeepers. Oh, not enough games played for have any of our players on there. Clean sheets. Annoyingly, Mamadou Niang does get the most clean sheets with 17. But he did have 12 more games in which to do that. So when you look at conceded per 90 minutes, which you can't really, but you could see, you know, Milan Harmat, 0.45 and Angel 0.58. We have, oh, I tell you what, this Custa guy, although he has only got 1 clean sheet, so that doesn't really count. When you look at the people that matter, no one else is under 1. Saves held. This guy, I'll tell you what, this Hobbit, I suppose he was probably peppered with goals being fired at him this season, so I guess it makes sense that he wouldn't have, well, he would have made a lot of saves. Probably also let in a lot of goals too. Right, so let's move over and do some analysis of some bits and bobs. Try to be a bit more quick with it this time because we're already about 35 minutes into this video at this point. So we want, what do we want? We want goalkeeper analysis. Just to compare them, see how they're dwanning. I said dwanning, shoot me now. Right, B team off, under 19 team off. Oh, right, yeah, of course. I was like, why aren't they disappearing? Right, so we want defenders, blah, 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 blah. Right, off we go. So, Amoa did play 1 match, but we're not going to include that today. So, obviously, this is only counting the league, and I know I wish there was a way we could show the stats overall, but that is not possible. Something I would love to see in FM19 is the ability to have these stats screens show stats from all competitions, or at least give you the option to filter them out. Why isn't there a filter here that I can just turn off certain competitions? That would be so good for this sort of analysis, but there you go. So Harmat's played more games in the league anyway. Weirdly, we concede more goals with him in the team. So that's something worth noting. Oh, no, hang on. No, sorry, that's not true at all. We score more with him in the team, and we concede less. I mean, that's about as, you know, saves tipped. He's tipped a lot. He's parried a lot. He's held a lot. We win less points per game with him in the team, though, which is strange. And he has conceded more goals, but that makes sense. Games won ratio, 83% games won. That is kind of interesting, actually. Conceded per 90 minutes, obviously, is the same. He's got less clean sheets, but we've got 2 really solid goalkeepers, both with decent personalities as well. They're very, very closely matched in a lot of areas, but Harmat is just that little bit better. He's better in the air, better with his throwing, his rushing out is better, his reflexes are slightly better. Everything is just that tiny bit better. He's not quite as eccentric, but you can see what I mean. His kicking is also quite a bit better. Angel is the perfect understudy. We've got the perfect setup with goalkeepers. Harmat is fantastic. Angel is also fantastic, but it means that he'll be able to keep us nice and tight in the league and do a solid job for us when Harmat is unavailable. So I think for goalkeepers, we're pretty much set for next year. Harmat and Angel, provided that Harmat doesn't end up leaving to go to Chelsea, hopefully we can deal with that. I think we'll be fine. I'm pretty certain I've already talked to him about staying. I think he already requested to leave and I said no, and then it was fine. So I don't think anything's going to come of this, hopefully. Right, let's move over and do wingbacks because I am going to be very, very interested in what this one has to show us. So we don't want goalkeepers, we want defensive midfielders, we want left and right. So Cunha, Olsen, Dip, Palacios. Those are the guys we want to talk about. Dip hasn't played as many minutes, of course, but we'll still compare him and Palacios just to see, because I think it's important to compare them not just to each other on a separate wing, but also compare them to each other on each other's wings. So points per game. We've won the most points per game, ironically, with Olsen in the team. But Cunha is not even that close to the second, with Palacios and then Dip quite at the bottom of that one. So there's that to note. Team conceded per 90 minutes. Palacios is the lowest, with Cunha then there again. Olsen just a tiny bit worse off on that one. And Dip are much, much worse. We concede way more goals with him. But again, I don't know if 7 games is enough to really get that. But we'll see. Tackles won ratio. Olsen, 82%. The guy's a great defender. It has to be said. He's getting better and better on year with his defensive capabilities, and he's still only 19. Cunha 75 is dope, but look at this. Palacios 62. That is a massive jump down of 13%, and Dip 61. The left-sided players, from the defensive standpoint, are not pulling their weight. They're getting beaten into the tackle quite a lot, whereas Olsen and Cunha both have so much more desire on that wing. I wish one of them was left-footed. Oh my God, do I wish they were left-footed. But 'twas not to be. Passes completed. Again, it's the same. Olsen just slightly better than Cunha in that one, but at least Palacios is much, much closer on passes completed. But again, Olsen showing he's got that quality in the league. He really does do well. His passing is better than Cunha. His tackling is much better than Cunha. Key passes per 90 minutes, though. Cunha does seem to have the edge on that one quite considerably. But again, they're both miles clear of Dip and Palacios. Cunha makes nearly 3 key passes a game. That's usually when he plays that ball into the channel for Svenningsson, and then Svenningsson has a shot. That's generally what that is. Interceptions per 90 minutes. Right, go on. Dip, not too bad. Cunha, not too bad. Olsen doesn't seem to have the anticipation, perhaps, to get those quite right. Cunha's much better with his interceptions, so Olsen's better with the pure tackles, but Cunha generally just cuts things out before it gets to the point of needing a tackle. So I think that's quite important as well. Headers won. Look at this. 80% of his headers are won by Andre Cunha. This is where he's making up for things. He might not win it on the floor as much, but he's winning it in the air vastly more than every other player in that area. And I think that has given him a huge boost to his stats this year. It's undeniable how good he's been in the air. That is phenomenal. Headers won per 90 minutes. Again, you can see it's a similar kind of story, winning way more. Games won, percentage, anyway. Oh, no, that's what we want. Olsen has won more games, in fairness to him. But, in fact, to be fair, that's just not really much of an excuse there. He's just won more games than him in the team. Dribbles per game. Olsen does complete more dribbles too. I don't know what his dribbling stat is actually like, since these are mostly about certain areas where I was thinking it was quite important. Now, here we're coming to quite important bits. Crosses completed. 20% of Andre Cunha's crosses have been completed. Olsen's is right down at 13. So just looking at this, Olsen is great with the balls at the floor and is good at keeping the passing linked up. Andre Cunha is fantastic in the air and very good at anticipating things and getting those crosses into the box. Palacios' level there dip even lower. Chances created, again, Olsen and Cunha right there. Palacios has played less minutes but has created way less chances. And per 90 minutes is even more obvious. Cunha is definitely a more creative player. That's the way I'm looking at this right now. Cunha is a creative force in this team, whereas Olsen can do that as well, but he's a better defensive player, which might also explain why I sometimes bring him on late in games and we do see things out, apart from that time where he got sent off, obviously. But I think that's kind of a good strategy perhaps for next year. Cunha still is going to be the starting player, but sometimes Olsen for the second half perhaps, later on, when we're perhaps defending a lead, he'll be better at winning those tackles and just doing some defensive duties for us to perhaps look at. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking at perhaps for that one. Assists per 90 minutes is so close. Cunha with 0.49 and Olsen with 0.48. So as much as Cunha completes a lot more of his crosses, Olsen's still getting a damn good amount of assists for that period. So it's obviously just doing a slightly different type of play. Olsen does have one mistake leading to a goal, which is a shame. Less mistakes overall, but less minutes as well. Palacios has made even more mistakes in less minutes than both of them. So that is worrying to say the least. And this is why I don't think I want him anywhere near this club next year. I think Palacios is gone, obviously, because he's on loan. Dip is just not good enough. Despite being better than them in most of these positions, he's just not doing his job very well at all. Maybe a full season? I don't know. But I think we need to look for someone else in that position or go after someone like Abdel Sattar, which I might even have a look at. Mustafa Abdel Sattar. Has he played a lot of games this year for Leverkusen? Yeah, 31 in the Bundesliga. Would be a useful signing. Are you having a bloody bubble? He was amazing for us. Oh, okay. Oh, of course, yeah, this is the season, of course, what we're talking about. That's the start of the year, yeah. See, this is what I mean. Double figures in assists there, and just so much better. How much would they want for him? I'm just kind of curious about this. £17.5 million. Ooh! Thing is, though, right? That means we could probably haggle them down to like 40, maybe. A percentage profit from next sale, 51. About 45. Huh. I just wonder, right? Because this is the thing. We have a clause with them that means that we get 50% of the next transfer. Profit. No, 50% of the next transfer. So in theory, we get half price if we were to buy him back. Is that how that works? If you could let me know if that's genuinely true, I'd be very, very interested. Because I do kind of wonder if we could actually get him back for like £22 million. Whether that would be worth trying to do for next season, I don't know, and I don't think he'd want to talk to us anyway. So we won't. I'm just going to finalise the offer, right? See if he'll actually talk to us or not, just as a test, really. I'm just kind of curious about this, but let me know what you think about me trying to actually get Sattar back again, because I do think I made a mistake on that one. I think there might be something I could potentially rectify in that sort of position. So yeah, let's move quickly on. From wing-backs, God, my throat is starting to get really dry right about now. So we've got centre-backs, midfielders, and strikers, and then we are out. So we don't want those. We want central defenders. Right. Oh, no, that's central goalkeepers. The only kind of goalkeeper is a central goalkeeper. So, 6 players. These are the guys that have played basically all season. Let's just give us a quick look and see who's done well. We conceded more goals with Lucio, Saifi, and Barbello in the team. undeniable, really. But Barbello is far closer to these guys. And I believe that's because Barbello has been used more in that he's been pushed forward into a lot of first-team games too as my sort of first-choice backup, if you like. So that, I guess, would explain it. Tackles per 90 minutes. Simovic, Barbello, Lucio. See, Santos and Vasic are really low and are letting Simovic do all the work here. Tackles 1 ratio, Barbello, 90%. Well, that's really low. Our tackles 1 for everybody else is incredibly low compared to Barbello, who is just smashing it with the tackles, which is nice to see. Points per game. Safety, Barbello and Lucio. We've actually won more points with these guys in the league than we have with the other guys, which is actually fairly impressive. It could have been because of the start of the season, though. The passing is all across a blanket, really. But the better players generally have got slightly better passing, but not a huge amount. Safety does not make a lot of mistakes, does he? That is for sure. Just look at that. 6 mistakes in 900 minutes. Even if you double that, he'd still only be on 12 mistakes and would still be the lowest. The guy is an incredibly useful player in these positions. No mistakes leading to goals. 1 for Lucio and 1 for Barbello. Key tackles. Barbello, again with the key tackles. Headers, key passes per 90 minutes. The big boys kind of in there, although Santos a little bit on the low side for that one. Interceptions per 90 minutes. Safety, brilliant as well. Fantastic. I think he just gets in there and makes those tackles. Barbello isn't too bad either. Really, Vasic and Santos are struggling in those positions. What do they really do? Are they good in the air? Headers 1 ratio. Safety, 91. Barbello, 84. Nuno Santos. I'm really struggling to see what he's doing for us here. Tackles, 72. Passing is 76. His headers 1 is 77. He's not getting a lot of interceptions. He's not winning a lot of headers. His games 1 ratio is the lowest of the low, as is Vasic. It's really strange, but they've still put in really good performances overall. Average ratings, it's still these 3 that are the best. They just seem to be doing intangible things, and I don't know why. It's like as a unit, they're better than the sum of their parts, although their parts seem to be pretty damn good as well. Really weird, but you can sort of understand why I think Barbello, despite having the lowest rating overall here of them all, but it's fairly close, really, is the best option to bring in when I need to, because he just does things for us. He's just fantastic. I really, really like the guy, but Safety, I would equally be happy to bring him in. Frankly, still worth 10 million quid. In fact, the only player here that isn't worth 10 million or more is Joel Lucio, but he is the youngest by 5 years. The others have got some serious years on him, particularly Aldo Save, who's 8 years older. So Lucio, I think, will come into his own a bit more next year. Maybe we can get him up to sort of 3 stars as well, and maybe he could start knocking on the door if he has a really good start to the season. I don't know, but I'm fairly confident with the backline, frankly, of Simovic, Vasic, and Santos. I think, unless there's someone amazing out there, I'm quite confident going into next year with these 3 at the back still, frankly, and with the others to handle us in the league, so Safety, Lucio, and Barbello. I just don't see the point in changing this situation up when we don't really need to at the moment. Anyway, let's move on to the midfielders. So we want midfielders, central, beautiful, and we want custom, we want midfielder analyses. So, also I want attacking midfielders on as well, don't I? So, players that are kind of important to look at. Obviously, we've got to think about where they've actually played. Dip is irrelevant. Johnny Sanchez hasn't played enough time. It's really these 5 guys that are kind of the important ones. They've all played 1,000 minutes or more. So that's kind of what's key. Assists per 90 minutes. Christensen, weirdly, does have the highest one of these assists. I'm trying to think who plays in that role when we play the away tactic. Christensen is the one for the away tactic, but I'm genuinely trying to remember who sits in that role. Akinola played a lot of the season in that role. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. I think it probably was Sani Akinola, so we don't really have a lot to compare it to. Because Stan always plays as the box-to-box and alternates with Sorgård, and Krejci alternates with Jankowski. So I don't know whether Christensen's bad or good compared to someone like Sani Akinola. In fact, we might just be able to just have a little gander while we're on the topic. We can certainly see his stats from earlier this year, I'm sure. I think we've got that option anyway. We can see how many goals he got. So only 1 goal this year. In fact, he wasn't having a good season for us either, which is, I guess, part of the reason why I was happy to let him go. This position doesn't seem to encourage huge stats, but better goal scoring ratio is definitely required from this, I think. So there's that. Chances created per 90 minutes. Stan is up there and much higher than Peter Sorgård too. He certainly has contributed some goals this year, Stan, or a goal, and some assists too. 3. They've all got a few of them though. Jankowski only with the 2 assists. He just doesn't seem to be stepping up with that. I think really we kind of want a more creative player in that attacking midfield role, and I genuinely do think that next year I might be tempted to go with Mariusz Jankowski as the deep line playmaker and have Krejci as an attacking midfielder pushed into this role here as an attacking mid, because look, he's got the perfect stats for this, really. Great first touch, his finishing isn't bad, his long shot's all right, passing is phenomenal, technique. Is he any better on attacking? Not really, no. I think Krejci could do a good job in this position next season, and that might be the way of getting the best out of him. Someone did tell me that it's on form. You can see where players have played. Can you? There used to be a little chart. Oh, I don't bloody know. I swear there used to be a little chart that you could look at, and it would show you where they'd played. Is that only for players out on loan? I swear someone said it was under form, but I guess you could sort of see it here. But there's actually usually like a thing that compares the quality of the player where they played. I don't know. I'm going to have a look around for this now because I am kind of curious to see development, perhaps? I don't think it's going to be under development, is it? It seems a bit unlikely that that's going to be the case. I don't really know. There used to be like a little graph where you could see where they'd played. Good Lord, this guy's got... Oh, no, he can speak Czech, fluent Danish, and Slovak. Good. Okay, so just moving off of Krejci now. So that's what I think the plan is going to be for next season, to be perfectly honest. I think the main team is going to be Krejci, Jankowski, and Sorgor. Although, remember, Trevino's coming in, potentially Ricardo too, so maybe Sorgor would step aside for someone like Trevino, potentially, I don't know, and drop him into the B team and give us even more strength to bring off the bench on those Champions League nights, and then leave Liviu Stan, demote Victor Christensen back to the league team, because I just don't think he's pulled his weight this year, and if we can get a player that can average like a 7.2 this season, then I think that could really kind of glue things together in a way that Victor Christensen is not doing, basically. I think he's the weak link in the team at the moment. Don't know why he is. If you've got any suggestions as to why Victor Christensen is performing poorly compared to his teammates, then do let me know. Now, it'd be nice to have done a comparison between him and Akinola, because it doesn't appear that Akinola's done that well this year either. And it does appear that's part of the team that we're kind of lacking in quality, it would seem. But he's doing most things relatively fine. His passing's fine compared to everyone else, really. I mean, it's sort of within the same wheelhouse as everyone else, quite frankly. It's not quite as good as Krejci, but, you know, he's a bloody good footballer. Tackles one. Oh, look at this. Krejci does so much here. Christensen isn't bad on that front either. Gets his shots on target. He doesn't win enough tackles. We don't concede a lot of goals when he's in the team. It's a bit of an enigma, Victor Christensen. The only thing I can think of is that the player's bypassing him too much. He's not running very much compared to the other players here. There's half a kilometre less per game than everybody else. Is vastly higher than him. Not dribbling as... no, that's fine as well. I really don't know. Answers on a postcard. Interceptions very low, but again, he's playing in a different role. Let me know why you think Victor Christensen has had a poor season this year, because he's played a lot, obviously, but then so have a lot of these other players. Do you think there's a reason? And I do think that perhaps Krejci should be promoted to the first team properly now for next year and drop Victor Christensen back, because I just don't think he's going to... I think maybe next year a midfield lineup of Krejci, Jankowski and Trevino could be a really, really tight, compact unit. But I get to try out in some of the early league games of the season, which obviously with no Champions League football early on. So at least we get a chance to see if it's going to be any good or not. Right, strikers. Looking forward to seeing how Rally actually lines up against the other players in this squad now that he's played. Right, so we want that off, that off, that off. Right, so players that matter. Sveni, Bravo, Rally, Herzeg. Yakim, irrelevant at this point. Right, team conceded per 90 minutes is not that important. Tackle completion. I mean, this stuff isn't really that important. I need to switch that up. Shots per 90 minutes. Rally, the most. Comfortably the most, in fact. He shoots a lot, which means we get a lot of chances because of it. Svensson there in a close second, with Herzeg behind and Bravo just sort of dipping off at the back here. Shots on target percentage. Bravo, 62, Rally, 56. Sveni in there too. See, this is what I mean. He's just falling a little bit behind, but he's still at least made it to 50%. And Herzeg's done bloody well considering he hasn't. Shots on target per 90 minutes. Rally is so vastly better than everyone else in those positions at this point. He's just getting shots on target. He does things. I think that might be because some of those weaker headers where he just gets them on target are contributing to that in some way. So I think that might be skewing it a tiny little bit. Points per game. Svenningsson up there with Rally. Herzeg a little bit lower, but not by much, really. Passes completed. This is important. Bravo with 87. He really does link things up nicely, whereas Svenningsson and Bravo and Rally a little bit lower, but they're still within a good wheelhouse. Bravo, bloody hell, really. Like, 87% pass completion is phenomenal for a striker. He's done bloody well this year. He really, really has, considering I've been sort of trying to phase him out in some ways. He's continued to defy me. Key passes per 90 minutes. Svenningsson, that is a huge step up. This is what I mean. He brings us that creative outlet up top. Despite his passing actually being better than Bravo's, his pass completion is worse, but I think he's trying stuff out a little bit more. And he really does create a lot of key passes. Rally's done decent on that one too. Headers 1 per game. Yakim, 67. Rally, 56. What is going on? I really hope that that does improve next year. If he can get that closer to 70, like even Mark Yakim. I mean, that's only one game, so he still has the best headers 1 ratio of any of our strikers, but it's not considerably more. When he's 6'5" and as good as he is in the air, he really should be pushing into the high 60s, you'd feel. And I really do want to see this clawing itself up. I don't remember what it was last year. If anyone remembers what Rally's headers 1 ratio was last season, then do let me know. I'll be very interested to see if he's actually even improved on that one, because next year I want to see 65 plus on that, and I think that could easily get him some more goals and also win us the ball high up the pitch, which is quite important, I think. Goals per 90 minutes. Rally, obviously, vastly ahead of everyone else on that one. Dribbles per game, of course, Svenningsson up there too. Rally's not bad, though. He's not too bad. Bravo in there, of course, as well. Crosses completed. Svenningsson weirdly has the lowest, but he does also whip in some killer passes. They've all got around about the 20 mark, with Rally on 26%, but that's often maybe because he's made less crosses. I don't know. What's this? Chances created per 90 minutes. Svenningsson, literally double anyone else's. The guy just creates chances when he's in the team, both for himself and other players. And I think it's so important that next year he stays fit the whole year. We're going to bubble wrap the guy, make sure he gets those chances. Average rating, Rally with a 7.77, Herseg with a 7.47. Svenningsson tied with that, and Bravo's not that far behind either. Really, really solid performances from every striker in the team. The only one with a minutes per goal less than 1 a game is Mariano Bravo, and his isn't far off of either. 12 assists for Rally, 10 for Herseg, 8 for Svenningsson, even 6 for Bravo. They've all been phenomenal, and I don't see any reason why we need to change up our strike force. I think maybe I should have tried to go and bid on that Sasha Holzer guy in January and break the bank to try and bring someone like that in, just to give us that little bit of extra quality. So we'd have Rally, Holzer, and Svenningsson as options in the strike force, and it would have given us someone to play in there when Svenningsson was out injured. And I think a Rally and Holzer strike force, because Holzer was a big boy too, he's a tall lad, he's about 6'2", I think, could have done us a really good job up top. But if ifs and buts were candy and nuts and all that, I should have done it, but I didn't, and that's just that. We're coming up to the hour mark now, so I am going to sort of end this video here, because my throat is ridiculously dry at this point, and I know it can be quite annoying to hear someone sort of rasping their way through the final moments of this. So if you have enjoyed it, and if you want to see these videos with the rebuilding Stockport save next season, or next FM, do let me know, because I do want to keep doing them, even though I'm going to be changing up the video format slightly of my normal content, where there'll be shorter episodes around about the 15 to 17 minute mark, because obviously there'll be more videos and much more tightly edited to try and make a really good video. But I still want to be able to do these in-depth videos, so if you do want to see that, do let me know in the comments. Right, what can I think of as our word of the day? Right, okay, what have I got here? I've just found a coffee cup here, and it says enjoy latte. I really need to wash this up. Oh dear. Right, yeah, so yeah, there you go. Drop enjoy latte in the comments. And of course, if you have enjoyed it, drop a like on it too. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and I will join you guys tomorrow for the first games in the Champions League of the brand new season. Our final season of this save is coming. Can we do it? Let me know where you think we're going to finish in the Champions League next season. Drop those in the comments, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. I said that twice. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. Christ on a bike, Matt. Jesus. Shut up.